Imagine a private dinner so exclusive that only 220 of the biggest buyers were allowed inside, each of them clutching one thing in common, a digital coin linked directly to the seat of power in America. It wasn't a fundraiser in the traditional sense, it was something stranger, bolder, and far more controversial. They weren't there for speeches or policy announcements. They were there because those coins were being sold as more than just a joke. To some, they represented access, a chance to buy influence, a way to bend decisions that affect millions. And as rumors spread that foreign nationals were among the guests, Washington lit up with one urgent question: was American policy already being sold off, one coin at a time? That question reached its boiling point on Capitol Hill. Senators demanded clarity, and the focus of their fury was Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Attorney General. And I'm sorry I wasn't here for the whole hearing, so it's been addressed, but I think you really are very sensitive to the possibility of foreign agents or foreign influence on our government, and making sure that we make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Yes. I want to know if, when the president held his dinner for 220 individuals who purchased the most of his meme coins, were there foreign interests attending that dinner?
Senator, we're here to talk about the Department of Justice and my budget for the upcoming year. I would think that you would want to talk about the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, who was living in Oregon, one of the top leaders. I would think that that's what you would want to talk about with me. When we captured him, he had $3 million cash in his home.
Attorney General, I know that you avoided the same question on the House side, but what we know is that many folks who attended this dinner were buying those coins because they wanted to influence U.S. policy. We had Mr. Javier Selgas, the head of Freight Technology, Inc., who said, I bought $2 million of these coins. I plan to buy $20 million because I want a favor from the president to change the policy regarding freight from Mexico to the United States. This solicitation of investments in his personal product, his meme coin, led to many people who were coming from foreign countries attending that dinner. Don't you think the American people have a right to know? And you said yourself you're very concerned about foreign influence on our government.
Senator, it is wildly offensive that you would accuse President Trump of not protecting American interest in our country when he is the president that has shut down our borders, unlike Joe Biden. President Trump has done everything to make America safe, and you asked me the question, and keep America safe.
Do you know?
And you're trying to play a gotcha question at a budget hearing when you have murders left and right in your state, violent crimes, and we are doing everything we can to help your liberal state. Whether you're liberal or not, we're going to do everything we can to help the citizens of your state, and you're trying to avoid that because you're trying to play a gotcha question with the President of the United States, and it's not going to work. We're here to talk about our budget for public safety.
I do believe that as the leader of the Department of Justice, you should be concerned about foreign influence. There was obviously a lot of foreign influence and individuals who said they were there for that reason. And so will you appoint a special investigator to make sure that that foreign influence does not affect the policies of the United States of America?
I'm not going to tell you what I will or will not do, other than I will do everything to keep the people of your state safe, even though you don't want to talk about anything to do with your state because of the crime in your state. You also voted no on the Laken-Riley Act. We are doing everything we can to protect the citizens of this country. You also said that President Trump encouraged protest. It was the opposite. He's done everything he can to keep us safe, and he will continue to, as well as the Department of Justice.
It speaks volumes that you won't answer the question about transparency when the president is asking people to invest in his company and his products, and that foreigners are attending these events. I think transparency would be appropriate. Are you going to recommend any ethics guidelines to make sure that foreign influence does not find its way in through the doors of the White House?
How do you characterize foreigners, the illegal aliens that have flowed into our country? Is that who you're talking about? You don't want to talk about them. You don't want to talk about the crime that has gone rampant throughout this country and your state. state.
Well, you know, these hearings are a chance for us to ask questions, and I assure you I'm engaged in national security in many, many ways. But this also I am concerned about. And let me turn to a different piece of the puzzle, because the president also has another cryptocurrency called USD1. It is a stable coin. There was a request by UAE to produce AI chips that would go to UAE. The National Security Advisor of UAE is also the CEO of MGX. So after that request for those chips occurred, MGX then said, we will buy 2 billion, billion with a B, of the president's coins. And then the president went to the Middle East and said, we will get you those AI chips. Does this sequence of events in which a foreign government asks for a big favor, and we had previously banned these chips to UAE because of the national security concerns. Then they buy $2 billion of the president's coins, and then the president goes to the Middle East and says, we will provide those chips. Does that sequence of events concern you about foreign influence on the United States of America?
The foreign influence on America that I would be concerned about if I were you was the Mexican national that resided in Oregon, who we just arrested, who had 384 pounds of methamphetamine. The foreign individual who I would be concerned about if I were a senator from Oregon is the Honduran drug trafficker who was residing in Portland for distributing fentanyl. The foreign national I would be concerned about if I was a Portland senator, an Oregon senator, is a Mexican national leader of a drug trafficking ring. Another one, fentanyl, firearms, fatal overdoses, all in your state.
You have made your point.
57,700 fentanyl pills and stolen firearms in Oregon. That's what we should work together on, not gotcha questions during a budget hearing.
Let me recognize Senator Merkley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Attorney General certainly has made the point that she's very concerned about issues that I'm concerned about as well regarding the security of this country. But let the record note that in terms of foreign influence and the sale of foreign influence through the president's coins, she absolutely refuses to respond and instead turns to a whole list of different topics. I think it's important for the leader of the Justice Department of the United States to be very concerned about foreign influence, and I encourage you to take on that topic and not consider it an offense that those of us who are concerned here, Democrats and Republicans, want Americans to make American decisions, not foreign influence being bought through crypto coins.
Senator Murkowski.
Chairman.
Sitting at the witness table, Bondi faced a barrage of questions about whether foreign interests had bought their way into that high-profile dinner. It was supposed to be a hearing about budgets, but the conversation quickly turned into something else entirely. What followed wasn't just political theater, it was a window into how money, power, and secrecy collide in ways the public rarely sees. The dinner itself was pitched as a reward for loyalty, the 220 largest buyers of the president's meme coin invited to rub shoulders in an intimate setting. But exclusivity wasn't what set alarm bells ringing, it was what came after. Reports surfaced that the guest list included individuals with ties to foreign companies, raising the specter of outside influence creeping in through the side door of American politics. A quirky digital coin, it turned out, might have become a tool for something much darker. Senators pressed Pam Bondi directly. Did she know whether foreign nationals had attended the event? Was there a risk that untraceable cryptocurrency had allowed outsiders to buy access in a way campaign laws were never designed to handle? Bondi's answers, or rather her refusal to answer, only added fuel to the fire. Instead of addressing the concern, she pivoted, over and over, back to violent crime statistics, drug trafficking cases, and chaos in states like Oregon. Important issues, sure, but not the ones she was being asked about. Every dodge made the chamber more tense. Then came the revelation that shifted the conversation from troubling to explosive. Lawmakers laid out a timeline connecting the United Arab Emirates to the coin scandal. First, the UAE requested restricted US AI chips technology previously banned for national security reasons. Soon after, MGX, a company tied to the UAE's own national security advisor, announced a staggering $2 billion investment in the very same coins. $2 billion. And shortly after, a visit to the Middle East led to a sudden promise to deliver those chips. Senators spelled it out. The sequence looked like a quid pro quo. Request, purchase, policy change. All hidden under the surface of a digital currency. This was Bondi's moment to show transparency. Instead, she stayed locked on her script. She described drug seizures in Oregon, Honduran traffickers in Portland, Mexican cartel leaders in hiding. She insisted that the real foreign influence was narcotics crossing the border, not digital money in a political ledger. But the refusal to even acknowledge the meme coin allegations was deafening. To Senator Jeff Merkley, it was proof that the Justice Department was sidestepping the very accountability it was designed to uphold. Merkley drilled down harder, pointing to Javar Selgas, head of Freight Technology Inc., who bragged about spending millions on coins to sway freight policy. He wasn't speculating, he openly admitted he saw the coin as a ticket to buy favors. If one businessman could be that blunt, what did it say about the rest of the guest list? Merkley's persistence turned what could have been dismissed as a fringe story into a national concern. And the more Pam Bondi dodged, the more it looked like something big was being covered up. What makes this case more dangerous is the nature of crypto itself. Traditional donations are regulated, scrutinized, and disclosed. But coins like these exist in a shadowy gray zone. They can be bought quickly, transferred anonymously, and scaled into the millions without triggering the same alarms as checks written to a campaign. That means foreign governments, corporations, or power brokers can pour money in almost invisibly. It's the perfect vehicle for influence. And now senators were warning that this wasn't a hypothetical, it was happening. Bondi's tactic, deflecting to crime and drugs, revealed something deeper. Evasion isn't just avoidance, it's a signal, because when the top law enforcement officer in the nation won't even say whether she'll investigate foreign influence at the highest levels of government, people begin to wonder what's being hidden. Transparency, after all, is the bedrock of democracy. Without it, trust collapses. And when trust collapses, power fills the vacuum. That's why Merkley's questioning matters. It wasn't just about coins or one dinner. It was about precedent. If a leader can host a private dinner for crypto investors, possibly including foreign nationals, and face no scrutiny, what's to stop it from happening again? What's to stop any leader from repeating the playbook? If billions of dollars can buy not just a seat at the table but a shift in foreign policy, then ordinary voters are pushed further and further to the margins. The hearing highlighted another lesson too. Oversight isn't about getting neat answers. It's about revealing what leaders refuse to talk about. Bondi's silence on the meme coin questions spoke volumes. Her refusal to engage told the public more than a polished statement ever could. It showed where the pressure points are, where the story might go next, and why transparency is being resisted. For viewers, there are 3 takeaways. First, crypto isn't just a quirky tech trend. It's a new frontier of influence that can bypass every safeguard in traditional politics. Second, hearings are designed to force answers, but when answers don't come, citizens need to read between the lines. And third, vigilance matters. Democracy isn't just about casting a ballot, it's about watching closely when money, secrecy, and power intersect. What happened in that hearing wasn't just a skirmish, it was a test case for how politics will adapt, or fail to adapt, to 21st century tools of influence. And the refusal to answer questions wasn't a win for anyone. It was a warning for everyone. So as you think about this story, ask yourself, if influence can be bought with a coin, who is really shaping the decisions in Washington? The voters who line up at the polls, or the investors who slip into private dinners with wallets full of crypto and promises of policy favors? That's not a rhetorical question. It's the defining challenge of this era. This is why we can't look away. Because next time it might not be a dinner, it might be a foreign policy shift, a national security decision, or a law that changes lives. And if those choices can be swayed by billions in crypto from overseas, the foundation of democracy itself is at risk. That's why staying informed is critical. That's why understanding these hearings matters. And that's why this channel exists, to cut through the noise and shine a light on the places power doesn't want you to look. If you want to see the bigger picture, if you want to understand not just what happened but why it matters, then this is where you need to be. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us as we continue to break down the hidden forces shaping America. Because the truth isn't just in what politicians say, it's in what they refuse to answer, and in that silence you'll find the real story.